The highest mountain in Africa. Yesterday, we're at top Kilimanjaro, and we have prepared and set the table. This morning, we will be dining again together. My name is Ncedile Mdluli. I am your coordinator for this seminar this morning. All the way, the financial officer from the SAU, and presently the CFO of Eswatini. Welcome to our seminar by Dr. Prudence Pollard. Can I read her credentials for those who were not there yesterday? And you will know our presenter well and hear from the throne about leadership and women. Communication, using our image for the glory of God. Dr. Pollard Prudence is a PhD holder in evaluation, measurement, and research design. He's a master's in public health. She is a professor of management in the School of Business, Dean, School of Graduate Studies, Quality Assurance, including the ISO 9001 Standards 2015. She is an institutional effectiveness assessment research administrator, chair of Anna Knight Center for Women Leadership Research. She is also the director, Community Health Action Center in Oakwood University. This morning, as you have heard, that she will be discussing communication, the many powerful gifts that women has to further and complete the work of mission. Sit attentively and let us enjoy this seminar together. To begin, let us have a word of prayer from Sister Vicky Ziku as we begin our session.
Okay, I am, as you saw, I was testing and wondering why my slide deck is not advancing. Is there an HDMI cable up here so that I can, okay, there we go. It is working now. Very good, very good. And my eyesight, I did have surgery. You know, you get to that stage of life, and as I said yesterday, I'm the oldest woman in the room. So my eyes are not as good as they once were. In fact, I often tell my sister leaders that you will get to the stage of life when you will have a physician for every organ of your body. I'm at that stage. No one told me that when I was 20 years old. And so women, why am I saying this to women? Because we often don't appreciate what our body goes through. And we often take for granted that very thing called childbirth. Childbirth is the #1 killer of women. The very act of being pregnant and giving birth is the most dangerous community health issue for women. But you never see it listed in terms of the causes of mortality and morbidity. Check your World Health statistic, okay? And why is that kept? Because we're looking at the world population and the factors affecting the world. And what happens is then that statistic gets broken out and reported by gender. If we were to change the narrative, women leaders, if we were to change the narrative and start by looking at the mortality, the death rates, and the sickness rate of women, and then for men, you would be able to see surfacing suddenly those factors that are unique to women. But if you start with the general population, it will not surface. So I say that to say, you are a survivor if you have given birth, woman leader. And I congratulate you for that very dangerous commitment to give birth. You have never heard that before, have you? Let's talk some more about who you are as a leader and the potential that we have within us as women, okay? And when we're talking about women, we're also talking about men, okay? Because it's together that we represent the image of God. And what we're addressing as we look at women in leadership is not just about women. It's about what God has designed for us to do and how we choose to carry out His mission. So this is not a self-serving workshop. We're not going to be massaging our egos. There'll be a little of that. Women in leadership, because leadership has a purpose. Someone just quickly remind me of our definition for leadership. What is leadership? What is leadership? Anyone? Even if you just remember some adjectives. What is leadership? My sister, stand up and use your ministry voice.
Leadership is the use of ability and authority to inspire to action towards achievement of a shared goal.
Repeat it, please. We will wait. Okay, testing.
There we go. Leadership is the use of ability and authority to inspire to action towards achievement of a shared goal.
Okay. Okay, for those who were not here yesterday, we developed, we parsed, and we understand. What is leadership? Leadership requires action. It is use of what? Ability and authority. We can say ability plus authority equals? Ability plus authority equals? The P word, don't forget the P word. Power. Power. Ability means that there's something innate to who I am as an individual that I must know. That's why we went into the giftedness and knowing who we are as women gifted in particular ways. And we're going to continue that today. So ability, innate to who I am, developed in our environment. Some of it may be genetic. You're blessed with good genes from grandma and grandpa. Okay? Maybe mom and dad. You may be from a lineage that has been blessed, right? But then you have education, you have experience, you have a community that has poured into you. I sang my little song that came from my grandmother that continues to shape me as a leader. Ability. And that other word, authority. Yes, there we go, there we go. Just turn it up all the way for me. I was straining just a little bit. Take it up, take it up. Max it out, and I will control it. Max it out for me. There's a little bit more left in there. If you could take it all the way up. Max it out for me. Max it out. Max it, please. A little bit more. A little bit more. Just turn the dot. There we go. Perfect. Leave it right there. Ladies, is that okay? You said it's okay, so it's okay. Yes. So authority, we understand. So who authorizes you to be a leader? Who? Under the blood. And we can walk through Scripture. Make that a powerful study. We touched on it a little bit yesterday. We'll look at the steps. We talked about what a woman does to be a woman of worth. And we were reminded that we're still works in progress. So give yourself some grace. Thank God for where I am today compared to where I was yesterday. In the workplace, where do you get your authority? In the workplace. We're very complex people, aren't we? We're leading in multiple environments. In the workplace, where do you get your authority? This is important because we often forget, and we go to the water cooler and we're talking with our friends and we forget. We forget. Where do you get your authority to lead in the workplace? Sister Elder, help us out. Where do we get our authority?
I think it's God first.
Definitely God first. Whether in the home or the workplace or in recreation, and where else? Do you have a job description? Does the job description state what your position is in the organization? Does that give you, if you supervise 0.5 of a person, 0.5, does that tell you what powers you have? Most people don't read the job description to understand the power that they have. Perfect. Your job description tells you if you have power. If your supervisor gives you the title of a manager, but you have no people nor processes to manage, are you a manager? No. Most people don't know how to understand that. If I have authority in the workplace, it means that I have authority to make certain decisions. It means that I have authority to create some new things because I have power through a budget. If I have neither people nor resources, then I probably don't have much power because it's now dependent on me without these resources to influence my people to deliver on their job assignment. It means that you're probably working for a church as a volunteer. Neither people nor budgets. But we need power. We need authority to do the things that we must do as leaders. In the home, that's why you tell your children, I am the mother. What I say goes. You don't tell me what you're going to do. You don't tell me what time you will come into this house, because I am your mother. And until you have your own house, you will come in when I say you should be here. That's authority. Whichever role I occupy, I must know how my abilities give me power to lead. I must understand how the organization, the entity, the role gives me the resources to lead. We could get into that. We could deconstruct it all the way down to the idea of giving your children soda money, pocket money, and the power of that resource and how to maximize it. I can take you all the way to top organizational levels where you're dealing with vice presidents and presidents of corporations, and I can tell you about the power of two small words. I once made it into a national newspaper in Indiana, South Bend, Indiana, and I didn't realize until the reporter showed up at my doorsteps and then the television cameras. I had written on the power of thanks. And they were notified by the corporation, the same corporation, about my presentation and the research behind it. The power of thanks. And that research showed that the power of thanks cuts across all levels. But the reason that my presentation, my research, got such attention is not because I spoke about the power of thanks to the general masses. I spoke about the power of thanks to CEOs and vice presidents of Fortune 50 companies where they're already making $1 million a year, plus 6 figures for their annual bonuses. So they can walk out and buy a Maserati at the end of the year just with their bonus. Not their $1 million. So what I did was simply to look at a couple hundred people who are making 6-figure salaries, starting at $2 million US dollars a year. And here's what they said. You get used to the money, because the money is spent similar to the way a person spends their 5-digit salary. You just have possibly a bigger house with more stuff decorating the house, and you probably redecorate more frequently because you have the money to do it. But they said what's most important to them in the workplace is hearing the words, "thank you," from their supervisor or their board. Thank you. Money only gets you so far. But as humans, as leaders, there is an insatiable desire for appreciation. And you don't need money to say thank you. You can do it with money. You can send them flowers. You can buy them gifts. But to hear it from your lips. And so think about the people that you have authority over. Have you ever said thank you? How do you say thank you? Because don't forget the influence part in our definition. Thank you has the power to inspire, to breathe life into, to motivate. We're talking simply about motivation theory. Yeah, you hear it as such. I never speak to theories by how they have been named. I use all the synonyms and the day-to-day expressions of that. How do we motivate our children? Thank you for making your bed this morning. Thank you for hanging up the towels in the bathroom after you use the towel. Simply thank you. And it has the same internal effect as a motivator that is now sustainable because it brings about a good feeling. It influences. It brings about a good feeling. And those hormones, remember we talked about them yesterday. Why do you think drug addicts become drug addicts? Okay? They're going for that feel good. They think they can replicate that high that they got on their first hit. Thank you as a drug releasing those endorphins has the power of becoming a different drug every time you use it. Used well, by the time you deliver that drug in 3 different types of drugs, all with the intent of saying thank you, you have created a desire in that person to keep hearing that thank you. They know when they're in your presence, they will be appreciated. They know in your presence, they will feel better about themselves, and they may not be able to express why, but they like being around you. They will often try to do something, and that is to touch you. The power of thank you in the home and in the workplace. So leadership is use of the ability and the authority to inspire, to breathe life into, to inspire others towards achievement, results-oriented. It's not without a purpose. It's not without an outcome. To inspire purposeful action towards shared goals. If there's no buy-in, you can stop. Why do people want to follow you? Because they trust you to take them to the place you told them through your deeds and words that you will take them towards. Whether that is that good feeling as the destination, or it is a particular place, or it is to their success in the workplace. If you share their desire for success, shared goals. Okay, now we can roll. Okay, we got it? Recap of yesterday. Okay, so we talked about this woman of worth, and we talked about Does she think about her household and other people? Does she think about her body, mind, and soul? And you can do the workshop back to me and tell me what that is. We're not going to rehearse it, okay? Does she think about joy? And remember our lift? Do you remember? Uh-huh. And you remember where it starts? Those who were not there are wondering. Okay? Somebody, just one quick person. What does joy do for you? It's throughout Scripture. Remember how when David was singing in front of the what was it, the ark? Mm-hmm. And who tried to stop David, his wife. Okay? Tell me, what was David expressing? Joy. Joy at what? Because we're not talking giddiness here. We're talking about a purposeful expression of our faith and trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. So whatever we do has to be blessed and under the banner of God that is bringing us this joy. Uh-huh.
Happiness comes and goes. Joy.
You got it.
Happiness is built on dopamine.
Mm-hmm.
Which comes and goes.
That's right.
Joy works with serotonin.
Mm-hmm. Precisely. And if we get that thing flowing, we're talking up here. We're talking about a neurotransmitter. Whoa! We're talking about the blood-brain barrier. Ha! If we get this thing flowing, that's why the love of Jesus Christ in the heart, you will not go seeking anything else to bring you that joy. But we talked about what this joy does for us, right? So my sisters, just think the word joy as you're looking at me. Just think the word joy. I want to see your face. Think the word joy. 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 You don't have to smile. Don't try to smile. Just think the word joy. Uh-huh. That's what it does. We don't have to smile because it forces you. My facelift is at work. And where does my other lift start from? Uh-huh. Okay, so joy. Now we can envision a future. Now we can think with hope about a future. So this is that woman of worth, this work that's in progress, right? Okay, so she says, how am I gifted to lead? How am I gifted to lead? We're going to move quickly because we don't have much time. How am I gifted to lead? And you'll see the article. It's coming out in the Union paper. Yeah, so I did commit to do that, so you will get a synopsis. Okay? I am called to be a leader, having the gifts that differ according to the grace given to us. What does Paul say in Romans? Let us use them. Use them. Don't bury them. If you have one gift, use it. If God has given you multiple gifts, use them. If you have the gift of discernment, be very careful. Because you see things before others will see it. That's where we're going to talk about communications and how to manage that gift. Because it's easy to stand up in board meeting or a church committee or in the workplace and say, we ought to do so-and-so. Or if we do this, this will probably happen. Because you're wired that way. You're oriented that way to see things that others may not see. As a leader, You may have to help others to see before you open your mouth. You may need to lead others to see that thing before you become the expert voice on that thing. Because how do you get agreement if they've never seen it? So what is the goal? What is the purpose of your leadership in that instance? So, for one woman, she's all over the place. Remember, we looked at those two women? Anna was one, and the other was Catherine, the publisher of the Washington Post, publishing empire. Of these two images, which do you think would represent Catherine? The one on the left or the one on the right? The left. Insecure, calling herself a doormat. Okay? She's on the left. Okay? And what she'd walk around and say, compared to Sister so-and-so, I'm a nobody. Compared to Sister so-and-so, who dresses nice, who, when she walks into church, everybody looks. Okay? I am a nobody. That's one of the richest women in the United States and the world, Katharine Graham. So money doesn't do it. It's mindset. And we talk about, next time we'll talk about mindset. Next time I am with you. Whereas you, me, poor me, okay, not $1 million income, fearfully and wonderfully made, going right back to the banner under which we are expressing leadership. Child of God, uniquely gifted without peer. My gifts are for me. Therefore, I don't compare to anyone else. Okay? Remember, most women are insecure. And their insecurities show. Okay? I have my insecurities. I don't care if you see them. Because God has taught me how to value my giftedness and how to allow my strengths to overtake my humanity. Because humanity is weak. Weakness. So I may be insecure about how I am viewed, how I am seen, how I present myself. But when I start to understand my giftedness, all of a sudden my valuation in my own eyes goes up. Remember, yesterday we talked about self-respect before we can expect others to respect us, and therefore want to be led by us. Okay? And men, it's the same thing for men. It's just that this is a workshop for women, and we welcome you because the men who attend, this is a workshop for everyone. And one day we will get to the point where we have those workshops where we're talking to both groups at the same time, because it's for both. So while there may be occasions where we want to have our private conversations, women, because sometimes we have some insecurities, or we may want to talk about subjects that we may be a little shy about. That's okay. That's okay. But I embrace when men step into the workplace, into workshops like these, especially in the workplace, because we must always remember that I can't break through the glass ceiling without the help of those who are beyond the glass ceiling. Very important. We could get into mentoring, we could get into a whole lot of other topics related to that concept. Okay. And so this woman of worth possesses self-knowledge. How am I gifted? Who am I? Where did I come from? Who poured into me? Is it a great-grandmother, great-grandfather? Is it an uncle? Is it an aunt? Is it a friend who poured into me? Can I trace that? Or am I so arrogant that I think that I'm a self-made woman without context, without an environment, without nurture? Those women, often we have names for them psychologically, and they're not healthy. Okay? Okay. Someone, I'm not projecting, I suspect a cable has come loose. Okay, so what you're going to see is my mother. She's 97 years old. And that spot is reserved just for her. I'm going to wait till she comes on these screens so you can see my mother. You saw my father in the earlier slides. I think we have a loose cable. There, it's coming. And so on the 3rd of August, my mother will be 97 years old, and her mind is as clear as you can get. She's still kicking, although she can't walk. She can't walk without pain, right? But her mind is as clear can be. And when we get together, we're talking, well, not when we get together, just about literally every day. She lives in New York, I live in Huntsville, Alabama. But on the telephone, we're constantly reminiscing because I'm keeping her memories alive. To remind her that at 97 years old, she, the woman who was the constant head deaconess at our church in New York, the woman who, remember the communion bread? She's that woman. But she got her thanks. She knew how to get her thanks. That's a leader. Okay? She knew how to get her thanks, and we're struggling back there, so let's keep moving. Okay? You won't get to see Mom this time. Okay? So your story is that you are gifted to lead. You know yourself, you're reflected on that. You see yourself as God sees you. In the mirror, looking at the woman of worth. Okay? You've compared yourself to her. You know that you're a work in progress. You're seeking self-development because you know the areas that you need to be developed, those areas of insecurities, but also those areas of strengths that can move to greater strength. You're considerate now of the needs around you. Because you respect yourself, because you're empowered because of that self-understanding. Okay? Standing in that beautiful space, we can now serve others. But we have to know how to make that happen. So, Okay, we're not going to. Okay, we're out again. Let's quickly move. How many minutes do I have left? I'm going to probably end up staying at this slide. How much time do I have left? 1 minute. Good, very good. Okay, so a list of matters that women need to be thinking about. I'm going to jump to one, okay, in the interest of time. It's number 4. What is number 4? Communication. The greatest part of leadership requires communication. It's an area that women have great strength, but it's the area where women make the least gains, because we waste that currency called communication. Here's what we know about women. Who talks the most in your home? Who talks the most? Do you talk the most in your home? Who is the silent leader in your home? If you're married, if you have a father, if you have an uncle, is it the man? Let me ask this. What happens when the man in your house, the head of your home, your co-head under Jesus Christ, okay? When he speaks, does the entire household stop and listen? Why is that? Why is that? The quality, that is definitely one aspect. Wonderful. The authority with which he speaks. Tell me more. You're using the definition beautifully. What else? Why is he influencing? Why is it that people are listening? Here's another example, just to bring it home if you're having difficulty with the in-home example, because you may have a home where it's a female only and no male leadership. Okay, let's go into the workplace then. Have you ever been sitting at a table, a committee table? You've been put on a committee, whatever it is. It could be the Christmas party planning committee, okay? It could be the revenue generating committee. Have you ever said something and nothing, it's as if no one hears what you just said? And then a man says the same thing, and everyone then says, oh, that's a great idea. Why is it that the man is heard and the woman is not heard, whether it is in the home or in the boardroom? Why? It's the same definition we're working. Why is that? I cried once when I was 23, 24 years old. I was on a committee and my idea was stolen by a colleague. I went to the bathroom and I cried my last tears in the workplace. I splashed cold water on my face, went back to that table. I had figured out what had happened, and this was before I started studying leadership. It happens every single day. And when I do communications workshops, or teach my graduate students, I tell them about the power of communication that is lost by women every single day. Number one, we use too many words. We don't know how to have impact through the words and how we organize those words. Our sentence structure when we're communicating, ladies, sisters, you can listen to us. Remember we talked about apologizing. We looked at the traits, the self-respect, and one of them addressed apologizing for matters that don't require an apology, but it's like it's a part of our nature, and it's almost like permission to speak, please. Did you see the head? Do you see the hand? Permission to speak, please. And we bring that into the boardroom. No influence, no power, and we bring it with too many words. We preface, and then we do something else. We end the sentence down. It's going, we start here. I have a great idea for the Christmas party. I think we ought to do so and so. Here's a great idea for the Christmas party. 80% of our employees love to do such and such and such. What do you think about this great idea, based on the fact that our employees have expressed a need for fellowship at the end of the year? Am I getting folks behind me? Did I just say that it's a great idea? Not because I said it, but because they have an expressed need. I'm not asking for permission. I'm not asking for it to be added to the list of things on the table to be voted. I'm elevating it in the order of things, and I'm taking the room with me. Okay? Okay? For every word that a man says, a woman says 10 words. So you add to the apologetic nature the fact that it's too many words. A woman will give you a dissertation when all you're asking for is the thesis statement. And sometimes it's woven in the apologetic nature of our communication. And here's what you have to be careful of. The man you may be sitting at the conference table with may have taken my course in Women in Management. He knows us. And he's listening for your great ideas. Because he knows you have great ideas. Because remember, women are powerful. We understand what's happening around us. We see it in our homes, we see it in our communities. Part of the challenge is we don't feel powerful enough to address the problem, but we see. That's the first lesson in community assessment. Women have the power to see. I've worked in 3 states. I've led huge projects. And when I'm doing a community project, I go to the households. I go to the women, and I go at the time of day when I know the woman will be home. She will tell me everything about the community and the needs of the community. But I go understanding that she has knowledge, she has power, she has all of this. If I were to bring her to a community committee at that point, she would shut up. She would not be heard. Okay? So women, when it comes to leadership, understand the power of your words and steward them well. Realizing that you're communicating with a person who has a very different communication style from you, and that's men. When you're ending your sentences, do a little thing. Take a breath. And let that breath give power to the ending of your sentence. It's not just how you construct it, but it's how it is heard by the listener. So communication is that one skill that I wanted to highlight here, because it will serve us in the church, okay? And I know there's some of you who do struggle with females who preach, women who preach. It's because of that same thing. It's because of that same thing. It's not working for your ears. And men who have that style, the same thing happens. You don't want to hear those men.
I better prepare for that sentence and choose my words carefully, because that one sentence might be the only opportunity I get to express my view. I find that we come and we have so much emotion. We need to read the room. This is a room where we need to be factual. And I will be heard. There's a place for our emotions. Read the room and bring your point across so that you are understood and heard very clearly. Tone of voice. Our female preachers, I find some of them, they just screech, and then people just completely, they have wonderful messages, but they've not learned to control the tone of their voice. We need, speaking is a skill that you can learn. Ladies, there's Toastmasters, there's everything. Learn how to communicate effectively. It's powerful.
Powerful, powerful. If you notice, I'm speaking to you in a register, in a certain register. Okay? The first point, think through what you want to say. Related to that, think about what you want the other to hear. If you have been watching the protests that have been going on because of the infrastructure struggles here in Johannesburg, okay? Our women, have you ever heard Sister Winnie speak? Have you ever heard her speak? Have you ever heard her? If you're calling to action, okay, the women who were on the streets with the tire burning, we know how to be passionate. We know how to be passionate. But that passion makes room for the man in the audience to speak and be heard. My sisters couldn't take the bullhorn and you know what I'm speaking to. They couldn't take the bullhorn and say, my children are freezing because we don't have heat or hot water. Okay. So there's the key, my sisters. If you don't feel powerful enough to speak to an issue, whether it's your salaries, negotiating your salaries, or in the home, speak on behalf of your children. You don't have to say, I'm asking for a salary increase because my children need more milk, because I have more days than I have money to feed them. But keep it in your head. It will give you that sense of agency. I am not asking. It will give you courage. That is the area that I see that is most problematic for women. Communication to be heard. Communication that allows them to be leaders in community. We have a lot of attitude. We have a lot of emotions. We have a lot of passion. We have not yet figured out how to translate that or to transfer that into currency that brings about the desired action. We have to change how we communicate if we want others to hear. That's leadership. The number one ability when it comes to leadership, after we have studied ourselves, after we understand our giftedness, my sisters, is developing the skill of communicating, whether it's one-on-one or one-to-many. May God bless you as we continue. We are now open for questions, I guess, comments, whatever, my sister. And I think they may be ready.
Taken much time. Thank you very much, Doc, for such a powerful presentation. The first question, two people, at least two people, okay, one and two, my sister, this one.
Thank you so much, Doc. You look stunning. I love your coat. You have inspired me for the, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Hey? Doc, you inspired me the past few days, I must say. And I left corporate in 2011. Wow. I was appointed as a young manager at a very young age. When I left the bank, I was in a program to be accelerated to executive, but I left. Now and then, my husband and I, he would say, I don't know whether you left because you wanted to be an entrepreneur or you left because you were tired of fighting in the boardroom. So this message is speaking to me so much. And I'm passionate about mentorship, coaching, personal development, training, and so on. And now I'm mentoring young women in the boardroom on how to flourish in the boardroom without compromising your values, especially as an Adventist. So my challenge to you as an institution, the university, is I wish there were more, you spoke about spiritual gifts yesterday, right? And I feel the spiritual gifts in my church, it's only targeting a certain spiritual gift, not everyone. For instance, some of us who are passionate about media, we feel there isn't much catered for us. We get most of empowerment tools from outside. So as an institution, I want to challenge us as Adventists. For instance, yesterday you spoke about Harvard University having short courses for women that are saying, I have a baby this year. I want to stay as a mom for a year, but when I come back in a year's time, I still want to be relevant. So can we have, for instance, when you mentor young people and refer tools for different spiritual gifts, not just focus on spiritual growth only. I love that. It's my strength. I cannot flourish the way I flourish if spiritually I'm not doing well. But let's focus in other areas as well. 12 fixed programs of communication skills. 12 fixed programs of personal branding that speaks to us as Adventists. If you say, I want to flourish in corporate without compromising my values, and I'm being appointed as a junior manager, can I have a leadership tool that is customized, structured for me as an Adventist, even if I get the worldly tools that I can use, but my values as an Adventist? I mean, I'm looking at our Heidelberg University. It's only ending on BA. There's no master's. There's no doctorate there. What are we saying about that? That is my...
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. My brother, will be a minute, then you pray for us.
Oh, I pray. Okay. 10,000 words, 1,000 words. Okay, resources. Where can I go and find a treasure trove of your information that I can immediately read? Books. And where will you be next to see you again? So I want to put my wife on this as well.
Who the scholar? Thank you so much, my brother. That's my name, Prudence Pollard. And you will find some of my scholarly work in that way. Of course, if you use Google Scholar, it's an easier way of locating my scholarship. Workshops, you can search YouTube for some. Typically, workshops I don't have up. I'm not into creating my body of work in that way because I tend to contextualize.